So yesterday was a bit of a curveball for all of us looking to go topside, as Arc Raiders was showcased at Summer Game Fest rather early into that showcase for what expectations were surrounding the announcement. The trailer that we got was simply a release date trailer, giving us the launch date of October 30th, situating it squarely in the middle of a couple of other big game launches that will be around that time. But with no additional announcement of a beta, another public playtest, the Raiders, fiending for more, myself included, were a little caught off guard, especially because the build-up to this seemingly pointed towards more, right? Well, kind of. The anticipation and build-up for Arc Raiders was a lot of things, but one of that was mismanaged expectations. Who's to blame? I'm sure there are arguments that could be made for both sides, and I know for a fact my hopium levels were through the roof that I didn't do myself any favors for myself in tempering my own expectations. I also know that we talked about a potential shadow drop being unlikely, but man, that would have been cool, right? But for just a launch date, wasn't exactly what myself and a lot of others were anticipating after a mini viral marketing campaign. But today, Embark's community team posted in their Discord an update surrounding how things went down that I think we should all check out. It said, "Hello Raiders, in the lead up to the Arc Raiders date reveal, we put out a countdown to June 6th. This gave the false impression that we would be shadow dropping the game. Instead, you found out that Arc Raiders is coming October 30th, making it a countdown to a countdown. The frustration and disappointment that followed is 100% our fault. The teaser we posted came from a place of genuine excitement. We finally have an actual date, but it's clear that what we saw as playful and hype building came across as misleading and frustrating to many of you, and we get why. We mismanaged the hype, we misread the situation, and we're sorry that this led to disappointment. We're making this game for you, and our reaction to Arc Raiders has been humbling and overwhelming and exciting. Next steps, we're putting our heads down and focusing on building the game. We know that games live and die by polish and quality, balance, and long-term fun. We need this additional time to ensure we can meet your expectations. Look here and on our socials for updates on our progress and the road to launch. Thank you for holding us to a high standard. We intend to meet it. Signed, the Arc Raiders team." So I think there's a few things that we should touch on out of this message. Firstly, the frustration and disappointment that followed is 100% our fault. Feel free to disagree, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. Sure, a countdown timer for a launch date trailer, a countdown to a countdown, was an interesting choice. Wouldn't have been my first choice for how they market stuff, but I do think that, as we mentioned, we let our excitement kind of boil over and fill us with that hopium. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that it's bad we're all excited for it and tried to establish patterns from Embark's last and, frankly, only other marketing and game launch in the finals. If anything, taking out the fact we have to wait a little bit longer, I kind of find it cool that so many people are that passionately excited about the game's launch. I don't know if that's just me being an optimist, but yeah, it sucks we guessed wrong, but it shows that we're all that excited. Their mention of it being from a place of genuine excitement and that it came across as misleading is an understandable perspective, that they feel they let us down in that sense, that it wasn't anything larger or anything more than a reveal date, but also acknowledging, hey, yeah, we could have done this better, is certainly a nice touch. I don't think cool marketing campaigns like this are bad, and I don't think that at any point it was meant maliciously or to mislead players to an outcome that we perhaps thought was going to happen. But I mean, if you take out the preconceived notion that something would be happening, it does kind of make sense in how it was formatted as well, where they had the messaging of, I'm not telling you the release date, having the 2025 XXXX date values and other things like that. I think the only thing that was kind of like misleading to its core a little bit was the chase for that play now button that was programmed into that little executable file. That was something that was never going to be obtained, but that was the only thing that I think explicitly was like, oh, they're telling us this is when we can play it type of thing. They also said, next steps, we're putting our heads down and focusing on building the game. We know this game lives and dies by polish, quality, balance, long-term fun. We need the additional time to ensure we can meet your expectations. Thank you for holding us to a high standard. We intend to meet it. And this is why I really like Embark and what they've done so far. The finals has not disappointed me. I think that, honestly, it absolutely deserves much more critical acclaim and the player numbers that go along with that, and that it's a great indicator for how they'll handle their community for this game as well. Fully acknowledging, hey, thank you for holding us in high regards. We have every intention of meeting your expectations. There's a lot of PR speak that any studio, any publisher can say, sure, but even with Embark's short history, they've kind of kept up their end of the bargain here and their promises to as much a degree that I think you can as a publisher, as a developer, and it's nice to see. That I do think when they say this, they do have every intention of doing right by the players, delivering a product that players will enjoy both initially and long-term, as evidenced again by the finals in that hardcore niche audience that it still retains. I do think that everything is in that right position. It just was mismanaged at this point. Ultimately, I think the whole thing just feels like a situation of just everyone being a little too excited for their own good from their respective sides. Bummer that viral marketing only led to a countdown of a countdown for us here as fans, but also a bummer that they were so excited that the real thing didn't live up to our expectations. And not to overuse the term bummer, but I feel like that's a great way to describe this, what I think is a momentary blemish for the game and its overall outlook in the future. But I think in time, we'll be able to move past this and in the next few months, just roam the Rust Belt together, having a good time. One thing that now kind of thinking about it in the stages of like grief, in the acceptance stage of this, or maybe it's just sheer copium again, I do think that this does signal confidence to compete with other titles this fall. We talked about yesterday in last night's video that we're going to have a Call of Duty launch probably within a week or two of when Arc Raiders launches. It's very possible we have a Battlefield game launching around that time as well. So it is going to be, for shooters at least, a pretty stacked fall in regards to the mainstream AAA titles, the stuff that is marketed heavily. But for Arc Raiders, I think that, of course, it's something that is different enough, it reaches a different enough audience that the crossover is definitely going to be there, but I don't think that it's going to be detrimental to the game. And even if it was, I think that squarely situating yourself here with this shows a good sign of confidence in the quality of that game. When they mention their polish, quality, balance, and long-term fun, to have 4 more months on this game while it already felt so good in the tech test, what, like a month ago at this point? Now again, in that acceptance phase of grief, minus the time until we have to wait until that launch, that's actually something that I'm kind of looking forward to, how much more they can do and how much more they can polish if it felt that good that early on. You know what I mean? I'm sure that some people will inevitably be turned off by this, many of whom expressed so in the comments of last night's video, but I think that from the tech test, the game's quality will speak for itself long term, and frankly, I'm also okay with this being a more polished build in a game that isn't released in early access. I feel like a lot of games nowadays are dropping in early access, that they release like that and then build as they go. Fundamentally, it's not necessarily a problem. It's a choice for developers to do this in something that retains the ability, especially for indie devs, to be a bit more economically feasible. You end up gaining revenue as you go to sustain building the larger product as a whole, but it's something that for a lot of people, it's so common at this point that it's probably not what they want to see anymore. So to have a complete game on a release date, especially in the extraction-esque genre, I feel like we don't really see that a whole ton in regards to a full product of here's a definitive launch, here's everything as a full product, go ahead with it. I think that'll ultimately be a welcome addition to that subgenre and the niche that we have here with this. Now, not to start up any hype train or anything again, or get ourselves excited for something that may just be absolutely made up and make-believe, but with 4 months between the announcement here and the full launch of the game, I do very much so think that it's possible. As we mentioned, we see something playable for maybe a weekend again, a week or so as a beta of some sorts. My guess, if we are to sort of just throw darts at the dartboard, would probably be August and Gamescom, as we touched on before. And they've already mentioned their interest and their appreciation and the feedback from the tech test too, so opening it up to even more players, even more feedback for the final stretch, I think is logical. And also, if you do that, you can end up getting more feedback on some content that maybe wasn't in the tech test, maybe adding another map or so in there, adding another Arc machine type in there, adding some more functionality with different traders, things that may end up being there at launch that we haven't quite seen just yet. So again, not to drum up anything that may just be make-believe, but I mean, Embark did indeed also have a beta for the finals, so that was something that opened it up more to the public also. So I guess we'll have to wait and see, but it's nice to see that Embark immediately jumped on this here and talked about it, said their piece, and hopefully it's something that is, I mean, good enough for the community as is. Having that 4-month wait doesn't change anything in that regard, but at least hearing the perspective of the developers and their apology here for this is nice, but also probably a nice way to remind ourselves to maybe temper expectations for things like this. But Anyways, just wanted to fill you guys in on an update to the situation here. I, again, have been loving Arc Raiders. I'm very, very excited for this game to launch. I don't know how much more we'll talk about this on the main channel here leading up to the launch. Maybe it's something we shift discussions over to the second channel, but for right now, at least, again, don't want to upload COD as our sort of main focus has been the last 10 plus years. It's a game I'm super stoked for and does have a meaningful discussion behind it. So that's what's gonna wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. What are you guys looking forward to? Are you hoping to jump into the Rust Belt here, maybe in a beta in the future? Are you guys understanding of Embark's position here on this? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Arc Raiders and other FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name's been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.